Morning, everybody. It's Alistair, aka that pesky social worker, coming to you very sleepily. Just got up a little bit ago, doing the walk. Got the pupper. Say hi, Grace. She's like, I don't care. I'm on my walk. Um, so this morning, I was going back and forth on what I wanted to talk about, but I decided that since I've had a couple more subscribers pop in and I've had a couple more people join my email list, which thank you. Also, quick plug, every Sunday evening, I do a newsletter that I call Sunday SEPs, where if you like listening to me ramble about this nonsense in the morning, there's actually a more cohesive newsletter that I put out around topics that has links to sources, resources, tips, tricks, stuff that I've noticed, and also gives you an opportunity to write back and be like, hey, this was really helpful, or man, that was garbage. You need to step up your game. So plug for that. If you want to sign up for that newsletter, you need to go to www.mental dash, like straight dash, not forward or back, straight dash, health101.com. And there'll be a little pop-up form for the newsletter. So now that I've done the whole businessy plug thing, I decided to talk a little bit about myself and what I do, because I realized that for newer people, you don't always go through things, and that's fine. And I realized that I haven't 100% explained what I do. So right now, I'm actually a medical social worker, which some people are like, what is that? So I work in home health and hospice. And what that means is that I spend my time, well, prior to the pandemic, I spend my time going into people's homes if they've been recently discharged from the hospital, making sure they have enough resources, making sure that they're able to keep food on the table, keep the lights on. And I'm a hospice social worker, meaning that people who have been given a 6 months or less prognosis to live, I spend my time with them as well. So why am I talking about this? Well, I had a personal relationship in my life sort of come to an end, and it made me really reevaluate how I feel about closure and the ending of relationships, because the reality is that I lose about half of my patients, because half of my patients are hospice patients. And you get connected to those people. You love them, you care about them, you meet their families, boundaries are always things that you have to maintain, but the human element of you is always going to get really attached. You're not supposed to have favorite patients. It will happen. You're just never supposed to talk about it. So, a tip from social worker who's been in the field for a little bit to any of the new ones. Sorry, Grace decided to pull me off on a detour. Or if you're, a younger social worker, it's okay to get connected to your patients, but you just really do have to watch your boundaries. So given that I spend a lot of time with people who are dying, or dealing with families that have, people who are dying, the concept of relationships ending is different for me now. My understanding of those things has changed. And the reason I say that is because I still have sadness when those relationships end, especially, I'm talking about, with the living. Obviously, when, my patients die, that's different as well. But in my own personal life, when I have personal relationships that come to an end, in some ways that is a death of a relationship. And I've found it interesting the way that I've changed with my coping. I have an anxious avoidant attachment style. So what that means is that I am very anxious about relationships and tend to avoid them. And I used to have a really hard time with the concept of abandonment. And I still do, to a large, well, not a large extent. I would say small to medium extent. It's something that I still have to, do the work on. But it's something that's gotten a lot better. And, a couple of years ago, if something like this had happened, even a couple months ago, honestly, if something like this had happened, my life kind of would have fallen apart. But in the conversation with this person, we were deciding, okay, you know what, it's probably best if we're not in each other's lives anymore. Well, at least for a period of time, to just sort of, work on ourselves, which is healthy. Healthy conversation. I didn't feel sad about it. I didn't, because even though that chapter's closed, I still have the book, you know? And I feel like a lot of people don't say that, oh, I closed this chapter of my life and it's over and I'm moving on. You still have the whole freaking book, man. It's still there. So even if you have a relationship that you've had to let go of, or, if you've had to move on from something. Everybody sort of wants us to get to that moved on period of just like being okay. You don't have to be okay. But it's also okay if you are. So I guess the takeaway is that hospice has changed how I deal with, relationships of all kinds, whether they be platonic or romantic ending. And it's actually made me very grateful for the time that I have, because with my hospice patients, typically on average, I have them about 3 months. Sometimes I only have them for a couple of days. Sometimes I have them for 6 months. Average, it's usually about 3 months. And I've just gotten really good. Not good, because it's never easy. And I wouldn't say that this is something I ever really want to be proficient in, but I think I've gotten better at having grace with myself, in terms of my emotions, and also being able to make peace with the fact that, I'm meeting this person and they're not going to be in my life forever. In fact, in the case of hospice, it's going to be a very short window of time. So I've had to learn how to let people in and love them and care about them and provide good patient care, and then also, have closure and be able to say goodbye and not lose my mind when I lose a patient. And so that's sort of translating into my personal life in a way of being able to let go of these kinds of relationships, with a certain kind of grace and a certain kind of, I'm going to use a quote here, but I saw it once, gentle ruthlessness. I mean, really just letting things go, letting things be. So yeah, that's me and my ramblings. That's part of the walk this morning. I don't know if you've heard Grace. She's been complaining, and we're going by a house that has a dog, and I'm the worst father ever, and I don't let her play with other dogs, which is not true. She's lying. So I hope everybody has a good Sunday morning, however you choose to spend your Sunday, whether it is in a place of worship, whether it is on your couch. Hopefully it would be a couch and your place of worship is closed, because stay at home. But, if you watch your online church assemblies, which I've done that from time to time, or your synagogue or your temple, whatever you belong to, or even if you don't subscribe to anything, I hope that today is a nice calm reset, and that we all get a moment to sort of breathe and, have some closure for this weekend and get ready for the week. So I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll talk tomorrow.